All right, let's jump right in. We've all been there, right? Staring at a problem that just seems impossible to solve, like a code you just can't crack. But what if the problem isn't the subject itself, but the way we're actually learning it? Today, we're going to look at one of the toughest learning challenges there is, and a totally revolutionary method that flipped the whole problem on its head. So let's start with the big one. Why on earth is Japanese so famously difficult for us native English speakers? I mean, it's not just about learning new words. The grammar, the writing systems, it all feels like it's from a different planet. It's a completely different way of structuring thought. And look, this isn't just a feeling people have, it's official. The US Foreign Service Institute literally classifies Japanese as a Category 4 language. That's their highest, most difficult tier. It means they estimate it takes a massive amount of time to get good. We're talking thousands upon thousands of hours of study. It's the Everest of languages. But here's where it gets interesting. If it's so hard, how is it that for decades, some of the best universities in the US have been consistently churning out people who are truly fluent? There's got to be something else going on, right? A secret weapon.
And you'd be right. Their secret is something called the Jordan method. It was developed by an incredible linguist, Eleanor Hars Jordan. This system started getting used in places like the Ivy Leagues, and it just completely changed the game for how to tackle this supposedly impossible language.
So what is this magic method? Well, the core idea is actually really elegant. Jordan described it as two wheels that have to turn together. One wheel is called fact, and the other is act. It's all about a perfect balance between knowing the rules and actually using them. Okay, let's break that down. The fact sessions are what you might expect. You're in a classroom, building that solid foundation. You learn the grammar, the vocabulary, and, this is super important, the social rules of how to speak naturally and politely in Japanese culture. Then you have the ACT sessions. Now listen closely, because this is the secret sauce. This isn't just go out and practice. No. ACT happens inside the classroom. The teacher creates very specific, structured situations designed to pull the Japanese out of you. It's a communicative but controlled environment where you're forced to apply what you learned in fact right then and there. And the results? Well, they're pretty mind-blowing. The world-famous author Haruki Murakami was teaching at Princeton, and he was absolutely floored. He said that the students who learned with the Jordan method weren't just making small talk. They were having high-level, fluent debates about literature in his Japanese literature class. That just goes to show you, this method creates real deep fluency, not just memorized phrases. But the story gets even cooler, because the real power of the Jordan method isn't just about teaching Japanese. It's what happens when you flip the whole thing around, like looking in a mirror. You can think of it like this. The gap between English and Japanese is like two sides of the same coin. If you build a strong bridge to get from one side to the other, well, that same bridge should work just as well going in the opposite direction. The logic here is pretty powerful. 1, we know for a fact that Jordan method works for teaching Japanese to English speakers. 2, so its core ideas, that balance of theory and guided practice, should also work in reverse for teaching English to Japanese speakers. And 3, this could be the breakthrough needed to tackle the huge challenge of English education in Japan. So, let's zoom out. What's the big takeaway here? Why does this all matter? Because the Jordan method isn't just about learning a language. It tells us something really profound about how we learn, period. When you look at why it's so successful, a few things become crystal clear. It proves that you need a solid spoken foundation to build on. It shows that really internalizing the patterns of a system is way better than just translating words back and forth. But the biggest lesson? It proves that even subjects we think are impossibly difficult can absolutely be mastered if you just have the right approach, that perfect balance of theory and practice. So at the end of the day, this isn't just a story about a language class. It's really a blueprint. It suggests we need a fundamental shift in how we think about education itself, away from just memorizing facts and towards a system where we deeply understand concepts and then immediately practice applying them. And that's the thought I want to leave you with. If this kind of method can crack the code to a Category 4 language, what other impossible challenges out there are just waiting for us? In science, in art, in our own lives, what could we achieve if we just change the way we learn?